All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pound of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My key games for the upcoming weekend in the world of college football. Don't have too many key games to rattle off this weekend, but nonetheless, there are some key games that I do want to focus on. And I want to start off Saturday afternoon in the Atlantic Coast Conference as you got fourth ranked Miami traveling to take on Georgia Tech. And of course, these rankings right now reflect the rankings from the college football playoff. So you've got, oh, pardon me, these are still the top 25. I take that back. Please forgive me. But nonetheless, you've got the fourth ranked Canes traveling to take on the Yellow Jackets in Atlanta at Bobby Dodd. And for Georgia Tech, they're looking to try to find a way to pull off the upset at home. And, there's a lot of ifs for Georgia Tech going into this game. Will Haynes King be good to go at quarterback? That's going to be first and foremost. You got running back Jamal Haynes. You also have the talent of wide receiver Malik Rutherford. So the Yellow Jackets for head coach Brent Key definitely have talent in place. But I think what Georgia Tech is going to need to do, the Jackets have to run the football and run the football effectively. Why? Because Georgia Tech needs to slow this game down, and they need to slow this game down offensively to keep Miami's offense on the sideline in this one. You look at the Canes, so much explosiveness in this offense with Cam Ward at quarterback and, wide receiver Xavier Restrepo and others. And then the other thing with me with Miami, can they keep avoiding the slow starts? Because we've seen the Canes, they have the slow starts, they turn it up, or it's tooth and nail with games you expect them to win running away. So I'm looking at it. You got the Jekyll and Hyde Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and you also have Miami. We really haven't seen this team too often this season put it together for 60 football minutes. I think Georgia Tech is going to give Miami all that they can handle. The Hurricanes are favored by 11 in this one, but nonetheless, I think Miami's going to do what they've been doing in their last couple of weeks, pulling away in the second half. And because of that, I'm going to take the Hurricanes on the road by the score of 37-20. Now, there's a couple of big ones on Saturday in the Southeastern Conference. And the first one that I want to talk about is you got the third ranked Georgia Bulldogs traveling to Oxford to take on 16th ranked Ole Miss. Now, for Ole Miss, they're looking to hang around in the college football playoff picture, and a win here would definitely do that while also putting a dent into Georgia's plans as well. When you think about Lane Kiffin, you think about his offenses, but nonetheless, the Rebels have the 22nd ranked defense in the nation. And you look at the linebacker play for Ole Miss with Chris Paul and Suntarine Perkins, just to name a few. But I'm looking at this Ole Miss offense still. We saw them really click on all cylinders last week in the victory over Arkansas. And in that game, quarterback Jaxson Dart threw 6 touchdowns. Uh, this Ole Miss offense is going to need to be dialed in again, especially against this Georgia defense. Georgia, when they're on as they're 12th in the nation in defense. But I'm looking at it for me, if you're Ole Miss, Jaxson Dart has to come out there and play a good game, as well as the likes of running back Henry Parrish, and then as well as wide receivers Trey Harris and Caden Lee. But you look for the dogs, and I talked about their defense and what Georgia can do defensively. For me, the other thing is Carson Beck. What is he going to do? Because you look at this kid; he was calm, cool, and collected in that pocket last year. He's facing more pressure this season than he was a year ago. Teams have adjusted to him, and the talent isn't there offensively around him like it was last year either. Nonetheless, Carson Beck has thrown 11 interceptions on the season, 8 in his last 3 games. He just threw 3 last Saturday in Jacksonville against Florida. They cannot have that again if you are Kirby Smart. It's got to be more ball security for Carson Beck. They've got to find a way to get the running game going with Trevor Etienne as well. Oxford is going to be rocking this Saturday afternoon. Make no mistake about it. Georgia comes into this contest favored by 2.5. The over/under is 55.5. Rain is on the forecast for Saturday. I'll tell you like this: I'm going upset right here. I'm taking Ole Miss at home by the score of 31-27. Now in the Big 12, you've got the 21st ranked Buffaloes out of Colorado traveling to Lubbock to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So the Buffs come into this contest favored by 4, and this battle of two teams that are still in the mix to win that wide open Big 12. No more undefeated teams in the Big 12 with the exception of BYU. Colorado's in that one loss category within the Big 12, while Texas Tech is in that two loss category. And of course, the Red Raiders are looking to keep that momentum going after their big upset last week in Ames over Iowa State. For them to do it, I'm looking at this Texas Tech defense with linebackers Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts. You think about the poetry in motion, if you will, that we can see from the Colorado offense when they get clicking. Will this Texas Tech defense be able to slow that down? On the flip side for the Buffaloes, they were off last week. Will that bye week come to their benefit this week? We know about the passing game with the likes of Shador Sanders, of course, at quarterback, and then the wide receivers. And of course, Mr. Dual Threat, Travis Hunter, because he can just impact this game in so many ways. Like I've talked about before, the Buffaloes are playing better defense. They are running the football better. And I think they're going to be up for the challenge in Lubbock come Saturday as I take Colorado with a 34-24 win. Now, Saturday night in the SEC should be a dandy. And it typically is when you get Alabama and LSU together on the same football field. It's going to be Tiger Stadium at night, which is always an advantage for the Bayou Bengals. The Crimson Tide come into this contest ranked number 11, while LSU comes in ranked 14th. And this is a de facto play out game for the playoff race, as far as I'm concerned. Both of these teams have two losses. Alabama's two losses have come within the SEC, while LSU is a part of that one loss bunch within the SEC. No more undefeated teams within the league once Texas A&M fell to South Carolina. But you look at Alabama, both of these teams, first and foremost, are coming off of a bye into this one. But getting back to the Crimson Tide, I look at this offense and, you got good Jalen Milroe and you got bad Jalen Milroe. And I think Jalen Milroe goes by the wayside, if you will, or in a negative category when Alabama has him throw the football too much. I think it needs to be a sprinkling of passing the ball, but then also allow Jalen Milroe to be that athlete that we know that he can be. Alabama just needs to run the football. Yes, pass the football, but run the football to set up the pass. Get back to your physicality with Milroe. And then, of course, running backs Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. That's going to set things up for the likes of Ryan Williams in the passing game. But nonetheless, when you have those opportunities, especially against this LSU defense, you got to go out there and make the most of them if you are Jalen Milroe. I always say this: so much talent for this Alabama defense, especially with Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell at linebacker. Will they be up for the challenge Saturday night? We've got to wait and see. You look at LSU, and the last time that they took the field, they took it on the chin in College Station, courtesy of Texas A&M. Things got out of hand very quickly for LSU, and it started with the ball security or lack thereof from quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. I think Brian Kelly has probably peppered him between then and now, getting him ready for this game, and also preaching ball security. A lot of talent around Nussmeier on offense, and it starts with the wide receivers Kyron Lacey and Aaron Anderson. He's got to find a way to get the football to them. And then this LSU defense, just like Alabama is talented, so are the guys from Louisiana State, as you think about Whit Weeks and Greg Pennant, linebacker, and then, of course, Braden Swinson rushing the edge. I think this game is going to come down to several things. First and foremost, who wants it all? On top of that, field position and turnovers. That's going to be the big thing. There's a lot on the line in this one. LSU, Alabama is always typically a good game. And I think the last team who possesses the football on Saturday night wins. I'm going to go with Louisiana State at home by the score of 27 to 23. Now, in the Big Ten on Saturday night, you've got Washington making the trip cross country to take on sixth ranked Penn State. And for the Nittany Lions, I'm really looking to see how they are going to respond following suffering their first defeat of the season last week at home, courtesy of Ohio State. We know what Penn State can do defensively with the likes of Abdul Carter, but I'm looking at this offense. Can they go out early and set a tone with quarterback Drew Aller, and then, of course, tight end Tyler Warren, as well as running backs Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton? Do not, and I repeat, do not expect Washington to simply lay over or roll over for Penn State. It's one of those where the Huskies are 14-point underdogs in this one, but they're going to give you everything that they have and then some. Washington quarterback Will Rogers has not thrown a touchdown pass in his last two games. That needs to change on Saturday night. The running ability of Jonah Coleman will be big, as well as the playmaking ability at wide receiver from the likes of Denzel Boston will also be big for the Huskies. I think this is going to be a more physical game than people do anticipate. Keep an eye out for Washington linebacker Carson Bruner. Was one of the better linebackers in the Pac-12 last year. He's bringing that same talent and intensity to the Big Ten in this one. Penn State's heavily favored at home, folks, by 14. I think Penn State gets the win, yes, but they're going to have to work for it. And I am going to take the Nittany Lions by the score of 27-17. And finishing up in the Big 12, it is a renewal of a rivalry. And for the folks outside of the great state of Utah, they don't understand the importance of this one, as you have ninth ranked BYU traveling, making a short trek from Provo to Salt Lake City to take on the Utes of Utah. So for Brigham Young, they come into this contest favored by 3, and they're taking on a Utah team that has lost 4 games, their last 4 games in a row. They were expected to contend for the Big 12 championship this year, not happening. But Utah is also looking to derail the potential playoff bid of BYU. Again, the Cougars are the last undefeated team within the Big 12. And of course, they are undefeated overall right now. Uh, Side note, very good to have both BYU and Utah back in the same league. Once upon a time, they were in the Mountain West together. But nonetheless, you think about the injuries for Utah, and that's going to be something that they're going to have to overcome in this game against a very good BYU team. You look at this defense for the Cougars, they've already forced 14 opponent interceptions, and then the play of quarterback Jake Retzlaff. What are we going to get from him on Saturday night? I think the easiest thing for Retzlaff to do is go out there and find his top wide receiver, Darius Lassiter, early and often. For Utah to try to put an end to this 4 game losing streak. It's been an up and down year for Isaac Wilson at quarterback. That's got to change. The Utes have to run the football. They have to, really implore that physicality and then rely on a strong defense led by Van Fillinger. But I look at it right now, so many issues for Utah on offense. It's really hamstrung this team here in 2024. Do not, and I repeat, do not expect BYU to slow down the throttle or feel sorry for Utah in this one. And I'm going to take the Cougars over the Utes in this one by the score of 30-17. So that's going to wrap it up, folks, as those are my key games for this Saturday in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out once again to thank all of you for checking this out. If you like what you saw and heard, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.